I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. So we have with us today Yelena Liverant, and as usual, I try to find really, really interesting people, and I don't think today will be any exception. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Yelena. Feel free to share whatever you would like with us, where you were born, what you do, whatever you feel like sharing. Just jump on in.
Oh, sure. So I'm actually from Odessa, Ukraine. I came here as a very young child. So went through school here. I have two kids. I work in HR. So I oversee 5 locations around New York. And that's just pretty much my life, kids and work.
Very cool. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and you kind of touched on a subject that's very interesting. That on the one hand, when people are dating, they want somebody who's fulfilled and healthy without needing to date. But then on the other hand, you need to include this extra piece into your life, and it gets a little like hazy and tricky of how to balance the two, right?
Um, a little bit, yeah. So, like I was telling you, I have absolutely nothing against relationships. I think they are great. I'm happy for everyone that finds them. Coming out of divorce, coming out of long-term relationships, you just see things a lot differently. Your life changes in many ways. You have a responsibility for not only yourself at that point, you have children, you have career, you have family, you have your friends. So just can't take that almost selfish route anymore, where your attention has to go a million different ways. And um, there's people I feel that need to be in a relationship for various reasons, whether it's the emotional support behind needing someone there, whether it's behind a financial thing. Luckily, I'm in a world where I'm fine on my own and can provide that. And I have friends, family, and kids that provide the emotional aspect. So to me, it needs to add something extra into your world, and it needs to bring positivity. Like relationships aren't just relationships.
Right. And kind of like you're saying, it has to be the right person at the right time, because if you're busy, you can't even have the time to give that person a chance. But if they're patient and wait on the right time, I think that kind of touches on something that's a real issue in the singles world, is people being too aggressive without understanding. See from your smile, I'm hitting on something strong.
Well, here's the thing. It might not even necessarily be aggression, because I'm also a pretty firm believer that if you actually care about someone, you'll do what you need to do in order to make time for them, right?
Right.
Even if it is to lose an hour of sleep or 2 hours of sleep at the end of the day, you're going to go out of your way to make things work. The thing is finding someone that actually makes you want to give up those 2 hours that are
Right.
important to you,
Right. Which is
right?
something you do later when you're in the relationship, not when you're starting off. When you're starting
Hmm.
off, you got to go a little bit cool.
Yeah, a little cool, calm, collected. And again, we're all out of Russia, where many of us are familiar with the 6-month relationship plan of dating, getting married, and jumping into having kids.
Right.
But it's very different here. It's very different here. And I think that a lot of what we do is having to change what we were taught as the norm to find something that actually works for us as people and works for us as an individual as well as a couple to make things work.
Right. Well, you're touching on the concept of dating and marriage when you're younger versus dating and marriage when you're older and you have a mind that's independent of what was fed in when you were younger. And all of a sudden, the world just kind of changes, your perspectives change. Yeah, it's different. It's
And
funny you
listen,
mentioned,
I did that. I did that.
right,
I will be the first to admit that, because my entire life, that's what we were taught was the normal thing. And my ex-husband, I mean, we do what we have to do for the kids. It's not like we don't get along, but we
Right.
were married at 20. We had our first one at 21. And we had our first one at 22. We had our second one at 26. But it's a completely different world here. You have to
Right.
work, you have to make a career for yourself. So it just makes things really hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you bring up the Russian 6 month plan because you're not the first person to mention. Um, we're brought up with this concept that we're so much like the Italians. We meaning you and I are Jewish, but
Hmm.
it's funny how we have so many things in common with us, other nationalities too, specifically Russians, in the overbearing mother-in-law, the 6 month plan, all of that. It's so familiar to Judaism. It's kind of funny.
It is. And you know what? I have to tell you, like when I went through the divorce and I finally started settling down and you get the emotions out and you kind of start getting back on your own feet for a very long time. I would have to go to dinners and explain to my mom and my grandmother why I'm not dating and why I'm not seeing anybody and why I'm so hesitant to move forward. And it's only recently that they actually, I feel, get the point as to why I did things the way that I did things. Because to me, it wasn't just about being in a relationship. A relationship isn't what makes or breaks you as a person. You have to develop yourself. You have to get past everything that got you in that place in the first place, right? And
Right.
then be able to get into something else that's actually going to mean something to somebody.
Right. And you're living in a time where you don't need men, as you were saying, to pay the bills, to have your career. So as soon as you guys figure out how to procreate without us, I keep joking around, we're just gonna become extinct. But yeah, back in the
Maybe.
day, they'll figure it out. Back in the day, you needed to marry a man to provide, you needed to marry a woman to housekeep, and times have changed. It's a different world, especially in America, which is always at the forefront of whatever's changing. So I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, that's why I said in the beginning, like sometimes it is literally just what it is, right? You tend to, some people do still need that. Like they need that person to be with them. And no matter what, they're going to keep getting in and out of those relationships just to have that emotional support. Some people need another income coming in so they can maintain their mortgage, maintain their lifestyle, maintain everything, right? So it
And you
just
see
makes,
that? You see people getting married simply because they need the finances?
I mean, I've seen people like, I feel like it kind of plays into it. I don't want to say that that's the only reason why, but at
I
the
see.
same time, I see that like finances do play a huge role into like decisions that some people make. Like, we could go into like typical, like even chat room talks where, someone's saying, I really like this guy, but he's just getting started in his career and he's only making this amount and da da da. And I just don't think that I'll be able to do anything with that. What does that tell you?
That it's on their mind.
You
It's a
have
necessity.
an amazing guy in front of you that'll give
Right.
you everything you ever like. If you had a checklist, he will check pretty much everything off, yet you're negating that relationship because
Money.
of money.
That's so interesting. You make a very good point. And what I always found strange is that people don't stop and think, hey, if I get married, my bills are just going to be cut in half. So the person doesn't have to be making a lot of money unless you're looking for a free ride. If you're looking for a free ride, yeah, then you want somebody who's making a lot of money. But if you get married to anybody, so now instead of having health insurance bills for two families, you have for one. You know, two cars under one insurance is cheaper than two separate cars under separate insurance. One place to live. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So I
And
think it's
maybe I
about
look at
wanting
it different, right? I
yeah,
might look at it different because I do sustain myself. I do pay my bills. I don't, I'm very comfortable in that boat myself. Um, However, I always have that response when I see a thread come up like that, which is pretty much I could be dating a surgeon right now who makes $450,000. And then, God forbid, something happens
right,
where he loses that job.
right,
If I'm not emotionally happy with that individual, and if that 450K was the only thing that kept me together with that man, what kind of life am I living?
absolutely. You need a guy who'll make you laugh. Then if he doesn't make any money, you'll still be laughing.
Exactly. Like I tell like everybody, including my own children, we look how we look. Our personalities are what we have. Our looks, as good as they
Oh,
can be, they're gonna fade.
right,
Your gorgeous girlfriend is gonna look
right,
a little bit different when she has your children, right?
right,
People
right,
are gonna gain weight, people are gonna wrinkle.
right.
Adulthood takes over. If
Hmm.
you are not with someone who's your best friend, what do you have?
Exactly. Exactly. You're a smart woman and you have it figured out. And I like the fact that you can understand that there are some people that need to be in a relationship and you respect that. But you yourself, you're able to stand as an individual. And I commend you. Good for
Thank
you.
you. Thank
And
you.
think, go ahead.
No, I'm just, I'm saying for everyone that finds it, I'm so happy for them. And you know what? Hopefully one day it'll come to all of us. But until then, just I encourage just being happy with yourself, being happy with the people that love you, and just make yourself the best you for when that actually happens.
There you go. Thank you so, so much. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for all your pearls of wisdom. It's great having you on here.
Always a pleasure.